guys? It's Men's History Month, the last week of Men's History Month. We talked about Samson last week. We're going to talk about Solomon this week. We're going to Bible thump with a brew. Bible thumping with a brew. Yes, I got a brew. I'm going to pop the brew. We're Bible thumping with a brew. Today, we're going to be reading out of the ESV instead of the King James, just because it's more simpler language. And I'm not really going to go too deep into the thumping, but I will show you where you guys can read this yourself. It's just a fun story, whether you're Christian or atheist or agnostic, or you worship Thor the Thunder God, or rocks, or I don't know, vibrational energies, whatever. It doesn't matter, because today we're going to read a story, a little parable, a little story from this here bibliothèque. So open your Bibles to 2 Samuel. 2 Samuel. Samson. 2 Samuel 12:24 is Solomon's birth. I got little picky picks. Howdy y'all, Solomon Bible thumping. Yes, ma'am. We're about to get to it. So, it's 2 Samuel 12:24. Then David comforted his wife Bathsheba and went in to her and lay with her. And she bore a son, and he called his name Solomon. And the Lord loved him and sent a message by Nathan the prophet. So he called the name Jedediah because of the Lord. Anyway, Solomon is born. Now, it gets a little more interesting. Solomon's parents are David and Bathsheba. David is a king. David is a great king. David's killed Goliath. David was a boss, one of the kings of Israel. We got old-looking Solomon here. But let's see. 1 Kings 1:28 through 52. Solomon becomes king after David. I don't think I'm going to read all of that, but I'll read some of it. Solomon was anointed king. In verse 30, as I swore to you by the Lord God of Israel, saying, Solomon, your son shall reign after me, and he shall sit on my throne in my place. Even so will I do this day. Then Bathsheba bowed with her face to the ground and paid homage to the king and said, may my Lord King David live forever. I'm not used to the ESV writing, but we're just vibing. Anyway, Solomon becomes king after David. Adonijah is one of the people that works for David. And Adonijah comes up and says, Solomon, please don't chop my head off. Please don't chop my head off. Let me read it. Let King Solomon swear to me first that he will not put his servant to death with the sword. And Solomon said, if he will show himself a worthy man, not one of his hairs shall fall to the earth. But if wickedness is found in him, he shall die. So Solomon he was a little beastly with it, okay? And that's 1 Kings chapter 1. Chapter 2 goes on. Chapter 3 is where Solomon prays for wisdom. What do we got? In 1 Kings 3, Solomon prays for wisdom. So chapter 2, Solomon loved the Lord, walking in statutes of David the father only. He sacrificed and made offerings at high places. At Gideon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, ask what I shall give you. And Solomon said, you have shown great and steadfast love to your servant David, my father, because he walked before you in faithfulness and righteousness and in uprightness of heart toward you. And you have kept for him this great and steadfast love and have given him a son to sit on his throne this day. And now, O my Lord God, you have made your servant king in place of David, my father. Although I am but a little child, I do not know how to go out or come in. And your servant is in the midst of your people whom you have chosen, a great people, too many to be numbered or counted for the multitude. This is after David did the census. And he counted all the people, and he was just like, he felt like it was a sin because of what he did while he was counting all these people with Bathsheba and all that. Seesaw boy or girl. Stubborn one. David supplied the money and supplies for Solomon to build the temple. Okay. Give your servant, therefore, an understanding mind to govern your people, that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to govern this your great people? It pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this. And God said to him, because you have asked this and have not asked for yourself long life or riches or the life of your enemies, but you have asked for yourself understanding to discern what is right. Behold, I now do according to your word. Behold, I give you a wise and discerning mind, so that none like you has been before, and none like you shall rise after you. I give you also what you have not asked, both riches and honor, so that no other king shall compare with you all your days. And if you will walk in my ways, keeping my statutes and my commandments as your father David walked, then I will lengthen your days. All right, so Solomon prays to God for wisdom. God gives him wisdom. But anyway, so Solomon asked for wisdom. So the first test comes. This picture is a picture of the first test comes that shows Solomon's wisdom. So basically, there's two women, and the one, they both have children. The one girl comes to the lady's house and spends the night with her child, and the lady who owns the house has a child. And while they're sleeping, the woman rolls over and lays on her child and kills it, the guest. And the guest in the middle of the night switches the dead baby. This is going to get kind of freaky, guys. This is how we Bible thump around here. She takes the dead baby and she switches it with the live baby. And in the morning, the mom wakes up and sees the live baby, and she's like, "This ain't my baby. This ain't my baby. Yo, this is your baby, and it's dead. This dead baby is not my baby. This is your dead baby." And the other lady's like, "Nah, that's your dead baby. My baby's alive." And they're like, "Well, let's go talk to King Solomon about this." That's what the one lady said. So they took it to King Solomon, and King Solomon said, "Give me a sword." And they handed him a sword. And what did he say? Then the king said to the one, "This is my son that is alive, and your son is dead." "No, but your son is dead, and my son is alive." And the king said, "Bring me a sword." So a sword was brought before the king, and the king said, "Divide the living child in two, and give half to the one and half to the other." Then the woman whose son was alive said to the king, because her heart yearned for her son, "Oh, my lord, give her the living child, and by no means put him to death." But the other said, "He shall be neither mine nor yours. Divide him." Then the king answered and said, "Give the living child to the first woman, and by no means put him to death. She is his mother." And all Israel heard the judgment that the king had rendered, and they stood in awe of the king, because they perceived the wisdom of God was in him to do justice. Yo, Solomon dang clever. And he's rich. I know how this ends. Do you know how this ends, Robbie? I know how this ends as well. It's kind of a constant theme. This is why we're a patriarchy, gentlemen. I'm sorry, ladies. You're amazing. You're amazing. You came from our body. Good Lord. So Solomon's empire, the territory of Israel before David became king, is this stuff in the dark red here. So the orange is the area conquered by David and inherited by Solomon, and the yellow is area under strong economic influence of Solomon. And this is the this is the heart of the world. This is the Fertile Crescent right here in between the Tigris and the Euphrates River, Mesopotamia, as it's called. This is the Fertile Crescent. This is Adam and Eve. This is this is the heart of the world. Mommy Africa / Asia / Middle East. I'm getting alerts on my phone. Maybe you have. It's supposed to be on silent. But Solomon's wealth and wisdom. This is Kings 4. So 3 is chapter 3. 1 Kings chapter 3 is Solomon's wish. 1 Kings chapter 4 is examples of Solomon's wisdom and his kingdom and his riches. He builds a castle. 5 through 8, Solomon builds his temple, his castle, and brings the ark into his temple. I have an admonishment from previously. I said Solomon's Hanging Gardens. They're actually they're called Nebuchadnezzar's Hanging Gardens. They're one of the 7 wonders of the world, the 7 early wonders of the world. But the Hanging Gardens are credited to Nebuchadnezzar. But I could argue that Solomon maybe also had a big hand in that too, because I called them Solomon's Hanging Gardens. But anyway, Solomon in chapter 5 through 8, he builds a temple and he builds his castle, and it gives you details on how big his castle was. The biggest castle at the time. It's the best. He's really the best castle builder of his time. Nobody's seen a castle builder like this in a long time. A lot of people try to build castles, but they don't build castles like Solomon. Solomon builds the best castles. Solomon takes the Ark of the Covenant and he puts it into his castle. He builds his temple, the great temple. Solomon's the greatest. You can't really argue with Solomon. Was that a decent Trump? I feel like that was a decent Trump. There's like this is Solomon's temple. This is in some museum in Jerusalem. Supposedly this is a model of his temple. And I say supposedly, but it's just as supposedly as every history book you've ever read in your entire life about a dead guy. It's just what we got, the information we got. So, okay, TLC, angels are coming from Africa right now. From Africa. Angels. All right, let's keep going. Solomon builds his castle, bro. He builds a temple. He builds his castle. He's building all this stuff. People were saying in chat that he got his money from his daddy. I don't think I agree with that. Well, maybe he got some. Yeah, maybe he got a little money from daddy. But I think Solomon, the only reason, well, David was rich. David was a king. The only reason David saw to give Solomon was the money was because he saw that Solomon was ready. And Solomon tripled that money up, quadrupled that money up, stacking cash. Solomon was a beast. Solomon, I've always heard, was credited as the wisest and the richest man in all the world. And if you go off biblical information and history, then he was the OG Trump Solomon. And actually, if you Google, there's actually whole videos made comparing Trump to Solomon. And we're gonna see, we're gonna see a little more here. All right, and then we got so he brings the Ark of the Covenant into his temple. He builds his castle. In chapter 10, Queen Sheba comes along and challenges him. She says, nah, he ain't as rich as he's saying he is. He ain't this great guy. He's not wise. He's a liar. This is all BS. She goes there. She checks him out in chapter 10, and she's like, yo, Solomon, that boy, Solomon got it on lock. I don't know why I questioned you. I'm sorry, Solomon. I should not have questioned you. He had great wealth. He had a fleet of ships, tarnished the sea with a fleet of ships. He had peacocks. He had ivory throne and overlaid with the finest of gold and armrests. He got 12 lions, drinking vessels of gold. Yo, I'm not throwing any. This is all stuff that I'm just skimming through, just reading, guys. He explored the she explored the merchants. She ended up giving him gold. I don't really understand. It's like she came and challenged him, right? I'm having wild caught salmon for salad dinner. Nice. That's what's up. Trump on both sides. Trump on both sides of Mount Rushmore. Salmon, Solomon. Well, I didn't catch salmon. I caught trout. But anyway, he got dang peacocks in this piece. He gathered together chariots and horsemen. He had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen who he stationed at the chariot cities. Yo, this guy was balling back then, okay? Solomon wasn't no joke. And Queen Sheba saw it, and she's like, yo, I'm going to give you some more money. Maybe it was like an investment in Solomon. She's like Hillary Clinton. She was trying to come and turn him. She's like, Hillary Clinton came along, this figurehead of the female matriarchy, and she came along to Solomon. She's like, I don't think you're that hot stuff, Solly. And he's like, check this out. Chariots, let's go. And she's like, dang, let me get involved in this. Let me get a little piece, Solomon. Here, I'm going to give you a gift, What's up, El Duro? Hola, buenos dias. Buenos dias. Nice. But, unfortunately, Solomon had a weakness, guys. We got to come to the moral of the story. What's the moral of the story? Well, the moral of the story is in chapter 11, Solomon turns from the Lord. Why did Solomon turn from the Lord? And maybe it had to start with Queen Sheba. Maybe after all, Queenie Queen comes along, interrogating, asking questions. Solomon gets and gives him some money and gets involved in that piece of the pie, the little Hillary Clinton action. Dang old Solomon starts to slip. Solomon's slipping in chapter 11. Now, King Solomon loved many foreign women. Let me read this again, guys. 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1. Now, King Solomon loved many foreign women, along with the daughter of Pharaoh, Moabite, Ammonite, Edomite, Sidonian, the Hittite. And he loving them Hittites. What the LOL? Uncalled for. Yeah, I'm sorry. Loosey goosey for sure. Sorry, guys. Hey, this is the night show. I never said this was made for children. All right. Women from the nations concerning which the Lord had said to the people of Israel, you should now enter into marriage with them. Neither shall they with you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clung to these in love. He had 700 wives who were princesses and 300 concubines. Concubines. I said concubines. We talking foreign women? Nice. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I dropped one D word. Come on now. Okay, I'm back. What did I miss? Well, you missed us talking about how Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For when Solomon was old, his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was wholly true to the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of Sidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Amorites. So Solomon did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, and did not wholly follow the Lord, as David his father had done. Then Solomon built a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, and for Molech, the abomination of the Amorites, on the mountain east of Jerusalem. And so he did for all his foreign wives, who made offerings and sacrificed to their gods. So Solomon was David's son, King David's son, and he built the biggest altars. This guy would go up and build these huge altars to God, and he was blessed by God. And then he he started slipping. He started slipping and falling for all these foreign women. Hey, nothing like them foreign women, right, Solomon? Right. Until um, the Lord turns you not in his favor, and he begins to raise adversaries against you. The Lord raises adversaries, and the Lord was angry with Solomon because his heart had turned away from the Lord, the God of Israel, who had appeared to him twice and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods. But he did not keep what the Lord commanded. Now, it wasn't that the moral of the story, guys, is not that Samson went after Ashtoreth. It wasn't that Samson went after Milcom. It wasn't for Samson went after Molech. It wasn't because Samson went after Chemosh. Samson wasn't really after those gods. Samson wasn't searching for those gods. Why did Samson make the altars to those gods instead of his God? Samson didn't care about none of those gods. You know what Samson was doing? Samson was lying. Samson was lying. I'm sorry, guys. I'm saying Samson. It's because they're the same person, basically, but one's strong and one's wise. Um, Solomon, I'm sorry. How long have I been saying Samson? I'm sorry. Solomon didn't want to have an echo chamber. He wanted to have a broad array. Yes, the floozies will get you every time. Yes. What was up with Solomon and the pair of brass frogs in his tomb? I don't know about that, broski bear. I'll have to look into it. Lord Spike Brody, gotta watch them thirsty hussies. Samson or Solomon? I'm sorry, Seesaw, I was messing up. I was slipping up. Um, yes, Solomon wasn't building these altars because he was into these gods. He was building the altars to get that no. Children, plug your ears. Well, I already said it. We said it in a nice children friendly way. Whoa, okay, that sounds bad. All right, guys, we're loosey goosey, guys. I'm not all there right now. I'm like fried, sun fried. Look how red I am. Look how sunburned I am. I'm sun fried. I've been eating maggots and mushrooms and fish eyes for the past 4 days, and I've been in a very high altitude. I've got high altitude poisoning, but of Solomon. So he had all these women. He was building the altars for the women. He was lying to these ladies. It was like Pimp My Ride, but with altars. He was like, yo, I'm going to turn your little altar into a fantastic altar. And you're coming home with me tonight. You're going to be added to the, what's it called? To the harem. You're going to be added to my harem. You're just going to be another face in the crowd. And he was just building altars left and right to every god. And God was like, yo, that's not what I told you to do, buddy. Now, the weird thing is, he was still wise. He was the wisest man, right? But he still did this. So, what does that mean? Does that mean wisdom doesn't equal like perfection? You can still screw up, but here's Solomon. This is really bad picture, but really bad fidelity. Never send your children to the fire, sacrifice to Moloch. Just another face in the crowd. Altar to get the cess. Exactly, Lord Comby. That's what I'm saying. That's the point. He was building these women altars to get the cess, and God said, "You've chased other gods besides me. Now, my my thing there is my little input is he's not talking about Molech and Ashtaroth and all these other gods that don't exist because God knows they don't exist. He's talking about that God. He's talking about that G. He's talking about that God, that one God, that lowercase G, but it looks like a big case G to most guys. He's talking about that God. That's who Solomon went to. That's who Samson went to. That's who Adam went to. The only man who didn't fall for the games was our boy Jesus. And maybe some of his disciples. They probably slipped up a little bit. But our boy Jesus, he was the only one. He was the only one. So here's Samson and a very bad fidelity JPEG that I blew up much bigger than it should be. Solomon getting it in. Yo, 700 wives and 300 concubines. This guy got 1,000 on deck at any moment, broski bear. 1,000 on deck. Look, he's chilling on his throne made of ivory and gold. He's got 1,000 on deck saying, "Come to Papa." I remember that altar I built you, baby? Hey. And Samson fell. The Lord raised adversaries. The Lord raised adversaries against him. His heart turned away from the. I already read that. Therefore, the Lord said to Solomon, since this has been your practice, and you have not kept my covenant and my statutes that I have commanded you, I will surely tear your kingdom from you and will give it to your servant. Give it to your servant. To the victor, go the spoils. Shout out Jesus, ROG. Nice. Jesus never slipping. Right. You guys know what's up. Solomon slipped up. David slipped up. Samson slipped up. Adam slipped up. Adam slipped up bad. Yo, he got kicked out of the garden because he was trying to get that fruit. You know what I'm talking about. Adam wanted that fruit. He got thrown out the garden. You try grabbing the wrong fruit, you might get thrown out the garden. So, spot on, seesaw the guest. Jesus has a heart after God's own heart. Most of the moments in my life that gave me opportunities to grow were when someone or something told me no. Imagine how much growth people with power miss out on. They always hear yes. Yeah, yep. And, oh man, I had another point that I wanted to make. But another point is that, so they say absolute power corrupts absolutely. But then also it says the money is the root of all evil. I don't know if money is the root of all evil. Because I think money could amplify good people to do good things and bad people to do bad things. Like money is just, that's like Nick Fuentes says, if you want to better yourself, other than like working out, eating better, finding God, all these things, one thing you could do to better yourself is make more money. Start making more money. Do whatever it takes to make more money. And the love of money is the root of all evil. Facts, the gets. Okay, yes, I agree with that. We shouldn't love money. We should love God. And what God shows us is that if you love him before all else, he'll give you riches. And then as soon as you slip away and you start looking for a love in all the wrong places, he'll take those worldly things away from you real fast. You cannot serve two masters. You will love one and hate the other. The love of money is not money itself. Facts. All right. See, look at these ladies coming in, saving your boy. Look at this. The Gets and Seesaw are on it. They're on it. They're correcting me, and I appreciate it. Nice. Hustle if it's there. Survive. But yeah, so that's the story of Solomon, guys. That's the story of Solomon. There's probably more, but that's all I wanted to get into this time. Hey guys, thank you for checking out this clip from the Dreaded Conservative Show every Monday night, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. If you guys like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. Hit the bell so you know whenever I go live, not just for the Dreaded Conservative Show, but for all the game streams and UFC streams and other fun stuff that we do throughout the week. And make sure you comment and share this video with a friend. But until next time, I got a video. I got a playlist. You guys can check those out, but I'm out. Peace.